In this video, we're going to look at some more features of three-dimensional workbooks, which are workbooks where a couple of things are probably true. You have multiple sheets here that all look the same, but the data is different. So in the last video, we looked at how you format all of those at once. And in this video, we're going to take a look at two things. We're going to take a look at creating a sheet that has references to cells in another sheet. And we're also going to take a look at printing out multiple worksheets. So I want a new summary worksheet. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to get a new sheet first of all. So let's click on the plus sign down here. And you'll probably get sheet 1 for this. I'm getting sheet 5, but it doesn't matter. We're going to type a new name on top of it, and we'll call it summary. And hit enter. Okay, so now I've got a new sheet called summary. I want that to be to the left of Atlanta. So, when I look at this stuff, this will be the top sheet. And all the data will be behind it. And the other thing I want to do is I want to make this sheet look like the other ones over here. But in order to make it look like those, I'm going to have to take what's already here. Since I didn't create this sheet when I was formatting the other ones, there's still an easy way to make another sheet look like a different one. I'm going to select the whole thing here for Atlanta, and I'm going to do a Control-C to copy it to the clipboard. Then I'm going to go to my Summary tab, and I'm going to do a Control-V to paste that in. And notice this has never happened before, but when I did the paste there, it automatically widened the columns to make the column width the same as the ones on the other sheets here. You notice the column markers do not change at all. It does look like column or row 2 here is a little bit taller. Let's see how tall that is. It's 29.4, and this one did not make it that height, just to make them look all the same. Let's go to 29.4 here. There we go. If your version of Excel does not automatically change the widths of the columns for you, this is how you do it. There's a paste option up here on the paste button, and there are different ways to paste, and you might want to check all of these out. I don't cover all of them in the videos, but it looks like we've got over a dozen different ways to paste stuff in. And one of the options here is to keep the source column width. So if it does not automatically widen your columns for you, that is what you should go back and try again instead. Okay, so I have a summary sheet, and it looks like it's still waiting for me to do something down here. And if I go back to Atlanta, it's probably still got the dancing line, and I do. So just hit escape, and that'll get rid of the dancing line, and then click on summary, and now we're ready to go. Okay, I want the number from Atlanta in B3, and I want the number from Boston in B3, and I want to add on the number from Chicago in B3. So I want to add all those three numbers up. So 850 and 55 is 905, and 10 is 915. So I want to delete all those. So just select them, hit the delete key, and they'll all go away. You do want to leave these formulas here because they'll just add up the totals for each product, they'll add up the totals for each quarter, and I don't have to redo the formulas. So let's go to quarter 1, product 1, which is cell B3. And this is a formula, so type in equal sign, and then go down to the bottom, and the first number I want is this number right here from the Atlanta office, B3. And check out what's going on up here on the formula bar. It's a good idea to keep an eye on this while you're building your formulas, because it's easier to make a mistake when you're doing these formulas that go across worksheets than it is if you're staying on the same worksheet. So go to Atlanta, and the exclamation mark just separates the sheet name from the cell reference, and then do a plus, and then I want to go down here to Boston and click on B3. So now up here it says plus Boston exclamation mark B3, and then type another plus. So we got a plus up here after Boston B3, and then click on Chicago, and then go to quarter 1, product 1, product 1 in cell B3, and add it on. Now, what you might be tempted to do here is say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go back to the summary sheet, and watch what happens to your formula if you click on the summary sheet now. It goes back and it changes that third reference from Chicago to summary. And so you're putting a formula in the summary sheet cell B3 that refers to the summary sheet, cell B3, and that's a circular formula, and most of the time circular formulas are bad, so you probably really don't want that. So I kind of messed up my formula here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just delete summary B3 and get back to the plus sign. Then I'm going to click on Chicago again, and I'm going to click on Chicago B3, and I'm going to look at my formula up here now. And do not go back to the summary sheet. Instead, hit the Enter key when you're done with the formula. And it will take you back to B3 on the summary sheet when you hit Enter. And you can look up here and see what your formula is, and it's Atlanta plus Boston plus Chicago, and they're all cell B3. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, those are all relative cell references, so if I copy them down, it'll be B4 and B5. Just take a look. So that's B4, this cell is B5. And if I copy them across, I'll get columns C and D and E from row 3 to row 5. So row 3 up there, and row 5 down here on the bottom. So this gives me my summary numbers, and that's how you reference something on another sheet. You know, you can type Atlanta ! And then a cell reference if you want to, but it's probably easier and you're less likely to make a mistake if you actually click on it and let Excel put the value in for you. Okay, the other thing we're going to look at is setting up headers and footers on sheets like this, and I can set the header and footer all at the same time. So click on Summary and then Shift click on Chicago, and so now we've got all of them selected. They all turn basically white, and I've got the word group in square brackets up here. So whatever I do now, I'm doing to all 4 of those sheets. And let's go to the Insert tab up here and click on Insert, and we only got one choice. It's header and footer. So click on header and footer, and it will take you into the page layout view. Which displays the entire piece of paper. So I've got, you know, my top margin and my left and right margins visible here. And the headers automatically divide into 3 parts for you. You know, just like in Word, usually when you insert a header, it'll put a center tab in the middle and a right tab over here, so you can put stuff left, center, and right align. And let's say we just want to put our name on the top of every sheet. So click in the right section of the header here and just type in your name. And then I want to go down to the footer. And I can scroll down if I want to, or there's a button up here that I can click on that will take me to the footer right away, and it just scrolls me down. And down at the bottom, what I want to do is I want to put in the page numbers, and I want the word page first, so type page and then hit a space. And on my header and footer design tools, one of the options is the page number. So click on that. This little ampersand square bracket page square bracket will not appear. It's a code for inserting the page number. So Excel is assuming you never want to put ampersand square bracket page square bracket in your output, and so that's a unique code that will insert the page number. And then I'm going to put the space, because I want these to run together, and then the word of, and then a space, and then I want the total number of pages, which is this button up here. Okay, so page 1 should say page 1 of 4, page 2 should say page 2 of 4, and then page 3 of 4 and page 4 of 4. Okay, and it's useful to put the total number of pages in if somebody's dealing with a hard copy. Then they know for sure if they've got all of the pages or not. Okay, so we're done with that. And if we click off of the header and footer, actually have to double click, I think, off the header and footer. And so now we got this down here, and what we want to do is we want to go down here. We're in page layout view right now. We want to go to normal view. At least that's where I want to spend most of my time. And oh, that didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is because I double clicked up here instead of single clicking. So I'm going to hit escape, and so now there's no flashing cursor in there. A lot of things get disabled when you double click on a cell, and this down here is one of them. So we want to go back to normal view. So click on normal down here, and let's see if it takes us back up to cell A1, and it does not. But one thing it did put in, which may or may not show up very well in the video, is it did put in dotted lines showing you where your page breaks are going to be. So this is the right edge of the page, and right down here on the bottom row 65, or 45 rather, is the page break for the bottom of the page. So anything down here would go on sheet 2 if I had multiple sheets, or enough here to print out and fill 2 sheets. Okay, now let's go to our File tab, and let's go to Print. notice before I did this, I had all four worksheets selected. So I'm doing a group print just like I did some group editing earlier. So here's what I get. And look down at the bottom. It says page 1 of 4. And if I go to the Atlanta page, it should say page 2 of 4. And come on, computer. Okay, so I lost my preview for a second there. Let's get it back. So it should show me page 2, which is Atlanta, and down at the bottom, don't want that, it should say page 2 of 4. If I go to the next page for Boston, it should tell me that that's page 3 of 4. And if I click on next one more time, I should get to the Chicago page, and that should be page 4 of 4. Okay. Now, any formatting that we do here will apply to all the pages that are going to be printed. So if I want to switch from portrait to landscape, I can do that. You know, most of the time you're going to mess with the size of the piece of paper. Might want to change the well, actually not the margins, but I kind of like change the alignment here. This is a little bit left of center because it's not quite wide enough. There's an empty column here that's being printed, but there's nothing in it, so my printout looks a little lopsided. You can scale if you want to, but let's click on the page setup button here, and on the page setup button we can choose portrait or landscape. We can do the scaling. Click on margins, and on the margins tab we should have an option down here of centering this stuff on the page horizontally or vertically, and I don't think vertically it'd look very good to put it way down here, but horizontally would probably look a little better. It will center this between the left and right margins. We can go in and take a look at our header and footer, and we've got a custom header already, and if you click on custom footer, it'll show you the custom footer, and I don't need to see that, so I'm just going to cancel. And there's the sheet tab over here, and probably not too much on the sheet tab that you need to worry about, at least as of today. So let's go ahead and click on OK, and it'll take us out of page setup. And now when you look at this, in a few seconds here after it gets done, it should slide Chicago office over a little bit. And now it actually looks like it's lopsided to the right. The reason for that is there's a little bit of stuff over here on the left. Remember, we right aligned product 1, product 2, and product 3. So there is a little bit of stuff over here. And if you could see that, you know, if I'd left these left aligned, then the margins would be equal on the left side and the right side. Okay, let's go back and try one other thing here. Hit the back arrow. And let's see what happens if you just do a summary. Whoops, click on Atlanta. If you click on summary, it just leaves it the same. But click on Atlanta. Now go click on summary, and let's click on Boston. Hold the control key down and click on Boston so you don't select Atlanta in between. And now let's see what happens if we go to a file print. Click on File, and let's go to Print. And you might be expecting it to say page 1 of 4, but it's page 1 of 2. So I get that, and Boston was the other one that I had. So if I click on the arrow down here, Boston should come up for me, and it does. And the reason it comes up with 2 for the number of pages instead of 4 is because it always tells you how many pages are being printed, not how many pages exist in the spreadsheet. So if I were to print these 2 pages out and then go pick them up and look at them, I would know for sure that I had all the printout, because it would tell me that I've got page 2 of 2 rather than page 2 of 4. If it said page 2 of 4, I could be looking all over for pages 3 and 4. So that is how you print multiple worksheets and do a header and footer for them, and it's also how you do formulas for a 3-dimensional workbook.